from CBS Sports, the National Football League.
You are looking live inside the warm, cozy Kingdome in Seattle, where the Seahawks, who have won 3 in a row, host the red-hot Washington Redskins. And Joe Gibbs' squad will miss the playoffs for the 2nd straight time since their trip to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. But their performance today could have a major impact in determining who does make it into postseason play. Now, one of the bright spots for Gibbs has been the late-season development of quarterback Mark Rypien. He has led the Skins to 4 victories in a row. Now, Rypien's Seattle counterpart, Dave Krieg, he also is a red-hot quarterback right now, and he'd like a big game to close out the regular season on an upbeat note.
Another reason Dave Krieg and the Seahawks want to have a big game today is because this will be the 200th and final regular season game for Steve Largent. I visited with NFL's all-time leading receiver this week, and I'll tell you why sometimes nice guys finish first.
Seattle coach Chuck Knox is a nice guy, too. And last season, his Seahawks finished first in the AFC West. This year, though, his team has been up and down, and we'll talk with him about the future.
Over at the Meadowlands, Joe Walton coached his last game for the Jets today. Now, new general manager Dick Steinberg will look for his replacement. I'll tell you about the leading contenders. All that and more coming up on the NFL Today.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Week 16, the final roundup here on the NFL Today. And we certainly hope that it's nice and warm inside wherever you're watching, and that you're going to be able to keep out of that record cold now that has gripped much of the country here this weekend. And stay with us here on CBS throughout the holiday weekend. And the football word of this weekend is parity, because coming into today, Pete Rozell's legacy has left us with a record 17 teams still vying for the postseason party. Let's take a look now at how this mad scramble stands as of the moment. There are 192 playoff scenarios left, 128 in the NFC, 64 in the AFC, and we're going to start with the 4 teams that are in: Denver, San Francisco, the Giants, and now we have added the newly crowned AFC Eastern champion Buffalo Bills. And let's take a look at it, because it was the last game for Joe Walton as head coach of the Jets. Jim Kelly hitting James Lofton here for a 25-yard touchdown, and the Bills jumped out to a 16-0 lead. Sneak preview of the field where Bill Parcells and the Giants will play the LA Raiders tomorrow. And it was Kelly again to Ronnie Harmon. And so for the 2nd straight year now, the Bills have won the AFC East, the 3rd shutout on Saturday in the season so far, and the first shutout for the Bills. Incidentally, there were more than 55,000 no-shows over at the Meadowlands, and some of it attributed to the lousy performance of the Jets this year, and also some of it can be attributed to the record cold snap that has hit this part of the country. Now, 6 teams still control their own destiny, and with the win, they're going to be in. In the AFC, they are Indianapolis, Houston, and Cleveland, and bear in mind that Houston and Cleveland play each other tonight, and it's winner take all in the Central Division in the AFC. Meanwhile, in the NFC, you have Minnesota, Philadelphia, and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, amongst the NFC survivors, only Green Bay does not control its own destiny, but the Packers are still very much alive in the race for the NFC Central Division crown. Obviously, they must have a loss by Minnesota on Monday night. Now, the AFC has a host of teams needing to parlay combinations. Now, here are the remaining survivors. We have Cincinnati, the Los Angeles Raiders, Pittsburgh, Miami, and Kansas City. And one team which is going to be watching this afternoon's game with great interest, the Los Angeles Rams. Because if Seattle knocks off the Redskins, the Rams would gain a wild card berth in the NFC. You know, Chuck Knox used to coach the Rams, and now, of course, he coaches the Seahawks, and some had questioned his future earlier this season in Seattle. A lot of rumors that he was going to be ousted, but then suddenly, the new general manager up there, Tom Flory, stood up, gave Knox a vote of confidence, and the team went on a winning streak. And just a short time ago, I asked Coach Knox if that job security helped catch the team on fire.
Well, it helped, because I think really players want to know who's going to be there, and they want to know who they should answer to. And I think it helped when we were going through that 4-game losing streak, which was unusual for us. to have Tom Flores come to the forefront and say, hey, this guy's the coach. He's going to be here. He's turned programs around before, and we couldn't have anybody any better right here to get this program turned around. And that kind of confidence and support was very important to our football team and important to me.
Chuck, I got a suggestion with Dave Craig. Why don't you start him out with about a 2-week vacation and then turn him loose? He's remarkable.
I tell you what, he has come back every time we've made a change there and just played exceptionally well, and I don't have the answer to why those type of things happen. I'm just glad Dave Craig is playing the way he is right now. He's a great competitor, and he's really responded these past 3 weeks.
So it is the city of Washington against the state of Washington, and let's check in live with the men who are going to call the action for us today. And happy holidays to Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts. Dick?
And happy holiday to you, Brent. And of course, we're here, and it's a big weekend for Steve Largent, the most prolific wide receiver in NFL history, playing his last game, has broken so many records, and he never had really the big names to throw to him, Dan. And it was interesting talking to him yesterday that he had Jim Zorn and Dave Craig, basically, and he thought that was an advantage for him.
Well, Steve Largent is one of the most naturally instinctive football players that ever played the game, but it came because of a lot of hard work and a lot of communication with those two quarterbacks. Both Zorn and Craig aren't blessed with a lot of abilities, but they worked extremely hard, especially after practice, where just the three of them, or two of them at a time, would go out there and run routes and define and refine their work habits.
Now, speaking of prolific receivers, the Washington Redskins have a trio pretty impressive indeed. They have gone over 1,000 yards. Art Monk, Ricky Sanders, and Gary Clark, only the second trio to do it. The only other club to manage it, the San Diego Chargers of 1980, with John Jefferson, Kellen Winslow, and Charlie Joyner. Dan, you were the quarterback for that trio. Any similarity between that group and this group?
I think the biggest similarity is the coach. Our offensive coordinator at the time under Don Coryell was Joe Gibbs, and Joe Gibbs is, of course, the coach of the Air Posse. The similarities of the receivers, I think if you look at Kellen Winslow and Art Monk, you see the same type of guy that's going to catch the ball over the middle. Then you've got Charlie Joyner and Gary Clark, the possession type, third down receivers, and then the two home run hitters, John Jefferson and Ricky Sanders.
Well, you had great targets indeed, and we expect a great aerial show, a good passing game, Brent, today indoors. Back to you.
All right, Dick, thank you. They look a lot warmer than they did last week in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, boy.
You know, another quarterback, Mark Rippon, has come alive for the Redskins. What does this mean to Doug Williams' future with the Skins?
Well, Brent, I talked to Charlie Casserly this morning, the Redskins general manager, about Doug, and he said, well, Irv, we haven't decided yet what's going to happen with Doug Williams. For example, February 1st, we have to declare our 37 players. The other guys go on the Plan B list. What they're going to do is take all their starters, freeze them, get backup players on an equal level behind each player, and then the rest of the guys go on the list. Doug Williams is the third quarterback right now. Would he go on that list? He said, Irv, we haven't talked about it yet. Joe Gibbs now decide when the season's over. So it looks like he may well go on that list of the Plan B area, and somebody grabs him, he'll be gone.
You know, last game for Steve Largent, and I don't think there's a more popular player in the National Football League than Largent. And we're going to come back, and Irv's going to take a look at this special performer for the Seattle Seahawks in just a moment.
The NFL Today is sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Crest, the dentist's choice for fighting cavities. Crest with Fluorostat. And by Interstate Batteries and their 165,000 dealers serving you all across America.
I've got a what? A brush. I really do.
It's inconceivable.
How could I possibly have a cavity? This is devastating.
If your little kid has a cavity, we've got news for you. Over the years, one toothpaste has helped prevent more cavities than all others combined.
Yay!
Not surprisingly, it's the toothpaste more dentists recommend. Crest.
This was a totally incredible visit. Yes! It's great!
Crest, it's hard on cavities and easy on you.
I'm out of here.
Well, it went okay, I guess. I'm gonna catch a 9:15 train.
Did you eat dinner?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I ate some stuff, and I've got terrible heartburn.
Look in your briefcase.
Is it there?
Ah, the soothing coating action of Pepto-Bismol in handy tablets. The one that coats is the only one you need.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Sometimes you got it today. Emerson's got it right. Fine-tune your life. Nobody's gotta tell you. Emerson does it right. Fine-tune your life.
Fine-tune your life with Emerson.
In the realm of expensive motor cars, no amount of leather, wood, or paint, no matter how refined, no matter how polished, can distinguish one from another. In the end, what matters is the car beneath the luxury. And never before has anyone built a car that performs quite like the BMW 7 Series. Not even BMW.
Irv, you know, I don't think any of us have given enough credit to Steve Largent. It's almost like we've taken him for granted throughout his 14-year career.
But what an exceptional athlete he is, though, Brent. You know, for all his records and certain enshrinement in the Hall of Fame, what struck me most about Largent is his philosophy that it's better to give than to receive. And that's fitting for a person who's always known what he wants.
He weighed 10 pounds and 4 ounces, and they said, "Here's your football player," each time they'd bring him in to me. And, of course, no, I had no idea.
Steve would always go with the halfbacks, and then we'd have to turn around and send him with the wide receivers. And I found out sometime later that he almost quit football. His mother told me because he couldn't get to play halfback.
He's the epitome of work, determination, perseverance. Doesn't care who gets the credit. He's an unselfish football player, wants to win.
Steve Largent will be playing his final game here at the Kingdome. But when he came here 14 years ago as a little-known wide receiver, no one would have guessed he'd become the most accomplished pass catcher in the history of the National Football League. And even though this end zone says Seahawks, here in Seattle, it will always be known as Largent's domain. This great career almost didn't happen. Drafted by Houston, Largent didn't make the Oilers.
At that point in time, a lot of my self-worth, self-esteem was built upon or based upon my ability as a football player. And so to have someone say, "You're not good enough," it was really a crushing blow to me.
Steve was traded to Seattle for an 8th-round draft choice in what became one of the biggest deals since the selling of Manhattan. In the years since, he's amassed more receptions, yards, and touchdowns than any receiver in history. But he's never lost sight of his most cherished prizes, his wife, Terry, and their family.
She knew me back when, you know, I was a curly-haired, pimple-faced little kid in high school that was nobody. You know, so when she tells me, you know, could you change the kid's diaper or take the trash out, you know, it brings you back to earth in a hurry.
The Largent's youngest son, Kramer, was born with spina bifida, a rare spinal defect. Strong faith and a positive outlook has enabled the Largents to overcome their difficulties and enrich their capacity to help others in need.
Everybody say cheese on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
2 weeks ago, Steve broke Don Hudson's 44-year-old career touchdown mark.
Touchdown Seahawks, number 100.
Typically, Largent gave his record-breaking game jersey to Seahawk radio announcer Pete Gross, who was recovering from cancer.
Thanks so much.
I think Steve's Christian walk and Christian attitude, this is what I think people are going to remember. And this is what I've always said. I'm proud of that, even a lot more than I am all of the statistics that have been piled up.
When I describe a guy that is a class football player, it's a guy that has a lot of ability, but has a real sense of humility about himself and an awareness that of exactly who he is and how, you know, he fits into the bigger picture. I really have no regrets about my career at all. It's all been terrific. It's been like a dream to me.
Really an unbelievable athlete. You know, when he was injured earlier this year, he had a bad right arm and couldn't practice because he was injured reserve. So what he did was take the team's practice schedule and go out on the field by himself and simulate the entire practice.
Well, that's why he's so great. You know, a lot of times scouts look at figures and sizes of people, but there's one thing that people don't have. They don't have a zipper on their chest to see how big a heart he has. Here's a guy 5'11", and he runs all over the place, catches it in crowds, and you can see after this piece, the guy's got a great heart.
And what's he going to do? He's invited the fans to a post-game party. He's going to sign autographs, then he's going to donate all the proceeds to the homeless in the Seattle area?
That's right. He's going to do that tonight. Imagine staying around after such a celebration to do that.
Yeah, he's a remarkable athlete. Headed next for the Hall of Fame, too. And we're going to continue live on CBS in just a moment.
Today, more people than ever are getting a kick out of this hot shot. Interstate batteries hit the road fast with all the cranking power and reserve energy you need for even the worst curves in the weather. And Interstate has twice as many dealers than any other battery company in America, so you're never left stranded. For an Interstate battery dealer near you,
All you got to do, call 1-800-CRANK-IT. Get the power that goes on and on and on, yeah.
Many men have sensitive skin that's irritated by shaving. Aftershave Skin Conditioner is clinically proven to soothe and relieve razor-scraped skin. Sensible care for sensitive skin. After.
By men.
In these days of self-serve gas stations, computerized banking, and understaffed stores, it seems that no one has the time for personal service anymore. Well, at True Value Hardware stores, we haven't forgotten that we're working for you. And whenever you have a question or a problem with a do-it-yourself project, we'll do our very best to help. So the next time someone wonders where personal service has gone, you tell them it's still hard at work. Right in here. So make True Value Hardware your store of first choice.
Panasonic presents the Smooth Operators. The Smooth Operators are cordless rechargeable razors that shave remarkably close, either wet or dry. It takes a smooth operator to unite the old-fashioned closeness of a warm, wet shave with the convenience and no-nick comfort of an electric. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you'd be.
We're going to take a break from our football coverage now and go to CBS News for an update. And here is Dan Rather.
Thanks, Brent. Good day, everyone. We're happy to report that John Meyerson, the CBS News journalist producer who has been held hostage in Panama since Wednesday, is free. He has been released. Also released with him, an executive of the General Telephone and Electronics, GTE company, Executive Doug Mullen, who was also held hostage. The two of them, Meyerson and Mullen, have been released and are in safe hands in Panama. The men who took Meyerson at gunpoint from the Marriott Hotel in Panama City started negotiations yesterday for the release of Meyerson and Mullen, who was held with him, and that release was effected this afternoon. Now, the quick chronology of what happened was that GTE executive Maria Walker notified CBS News yesterday that an employee in Panama City had called her from Panama, Ramon Mejia. Mejia said GTE executive Doug Mullen had telephoned him in Panama and reported that he was being held with Meyerson, that both were okay. There was a request to call Meyerson's wife in New York, which was done. Meyerson's wife, Julie, happened to be in the office of CBS News President David Burke when the call came in. However, the release could not be effected yesterday. There were some discussions about under what circumstances Meyerson and Mullen would be released. There was talk of possibly safe passage out of Panama for their captors. Negotiations went on overnight, and this morning CBS News notified, of course, authorities at the U.S. government, including those in the Pentagon and the State Department. Today, there was an agreement reached via telephone to take Meyerson and Mullen to an exchange point. There was some confusion at the exchange point. There was a holdup of several hours, but finally, we've just had a conversation with John Meyerson in which Meyerson said, "I'm walking out, I'm now free." So the two of them have been released. We go down to David Martin at the Pentagon. David?
Dan, we had hoped to have General Colin Powell, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, join us to explain exactly what the American military or U.S. government role in this exchange was. He is at his quarters, which are just a few minutes away from here, and hopefully he'll be able to join us shortly if we stay on the air long enough. I would go into the broader picture of what is happening down in Panama today. The fact that both Powell and Secretary Dick Cheney have left the building would, I think, indicate that nothing is imminent here. I think were something big like the capture of Noriega about to happen, both men would still be here in the Situation Room. So I think the situation in Panama is probably grinding on with the kind of street-to-street fighting that we've been talking about for the past couple days. One thing that is happening that is new, of course, is the arrival of these extra 2,000 troops. Those are reinforcements that are coming in on top of the 24,000 that were already there. Those troops are coming from the 7th Infantry Division at Fort Ord, California. They started taking off from California in the wee hours of the morning, and if it went according to schedule, the first planes would have begun arriving in Panama about noon. Now, one other piece of information, Defense Secretary Cheney is going to visit the troops in Panama over Christmas. He's going to fly down there Christmas Eve, going to be there briefly Christmas Day, and come back. He had hoped to make that a surprise visit, but the word of it is leaked out, and it will not, of course, now be a surprise, but he's going down there to visit the troops.
David Martin at the Pentagon, thanks. Well, the release of the two hostages, our own John Meyerson and Mr. Mullen of GTE, comes as good news. We should note that there may still be other Americans held by pro-Noriega forces as hostages that we do not know about. And we'd be remiss if we did not note that there are still other Americans held hostage in other parts of the world this holiday season. We speak, of course, of the 8 Americans who've been held captive for so long in Lebanon, whose pictures and names you see up there at the moment. Now, as David Martin mentioned, another 2,000 U.S. soldiers have been dispatched to Panama. That would bring U.S. military strength there to 26,000. Previously, there were 24,000 there. The official U.S. government position continues to be that the situation is well in hand in Panama, that it goes along pretty much as was expected, with the exception that some of the fighting from pro-Noriega forces has been tougher to overcome than they thought it might. Now, we now have on the phone Mr. and Mrs. Rolf Meyerson. They are on the telephone at the moment with us from their home here in New York City. Good afternoon, folks, and what good news this is, Mr. Meyerson.
Yes, indeed.
That we were very pleased to hear that John had been released, as I know that you were.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you incredibly at CBS. Thank you so much for helping Jonathan and doing all that you did for him. Bless you for it.
Well, I believe that you have spoken, Mr. and Mrs. Meyerson, by this time with, have you spoken with anyone in the government yet about his release?
No, just with Burke and you at CBS. Nobody said anything else.
Well, we're very pleased and relieved to say we're pleased and relieved to say the least, and we hope that you'll be seeing Jonathan over the next certainly 24 hours and possibly in somewhat less time than that.
Really, thank you.
We do thank you, you and CBS, for an amazingly wonderful job that you've done. It's incredible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, recapping very quickly, 2 American hostages have been released. They are CBS News journalist producer John Morrison and GTE executive Douglas Mullen. Some 2,000 more U.S. troops have been sent to Panama. In Romania, there is what amounts to a kind of civil war in Romania today, with high casualty figures and the situation pretty much in doubt. Deposed hardline President Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife Alina reportedly have been captured in Romania. That situation is described by our CBS News correspondent Martha Teichner on the scene as hellish in Bucharest. Well, that's the news. Good news in the release of the hostages. Dan Rather, CBS News, New York. Now back to Brent Musburger. Brent, thanks.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. And what great news it is for the Meyerson and the Mullen family, and obviously with events breaking around the globe in Romania and down in Panama. We'll check back in with Dan later in the afternoon. Now coming up here on CBS, we're going to have coverage of the Seattle Seahawks hosting the Washington Redskins, and we'll get to the opening kickoff right after this message and a word from your local stations.